This is Justice Insight Cam. Watch authentic interactions between citizens and police captured strictly on bodycams. We elevate the viewing experience by exploring the strict legalities, hidden truths, and vital lessons of each event. Let's examine the mechanics of justice.
Hands! Hands where I can see them!
Officer, I'm faculty. I work here.
On the ground, now!
Hands! Hands where I can see them! The shout bounces off concrete and glass. A parking lot, mostly empty, still damp from an overnight drizzle, sits under pale campus lights that hum like tired insects. A man in a wool coat freezes beside a dark sedan. His laptop bag slips off his shoulder and thumps against his hip. A young police officer is 10 feet away with his pistol already up, both hands locked, eyes wide, voice shaking just enough to tell you this is happening fast. Get on the ground, now! The man lifts his hands higher, palms open. Officer, he says, controlled. I'm faculty. I'm on the ground. And in that moment, before anyone's identity is verified, before a single question is asked that could slow the temperature of the scene, the gun becomes the headline. Months later, the case will close for $3.1 million. Not because money can rewind terror, but because video can't be argued with. To protect, privacy, names, locations, and some details are reconstructed. This is a fictionalized composite inspired by recurring patterns in campus policing complaints and civil litigation. The man in the coat is Dr. Malcolm Rivers, 51 years old, Dean of Student Success at Lakeview State University, one of those administrators students don't notice until something goes wrong, and then suddenly everyone needs him. He's the kind of leader who remembers names, who walks the quad without an entourage, who shows up to scholarship dinners and sits with the families. He's also the kind of black professional who learned years ago that calm is a survival skill. That morning, he's not thinking about survival, he's thinking about a meeting. At 7:12 a.m., Malcolm pulls into the staff parking area behind the student union. He's early because the day is packed. An emergency housing request, a disciplinary appeal, a budget call, and a meeting with the campus police chief about safety protocols for evening events. The irony will hit later. Right now, he parks in his assigned spot, steps out, and breathes in cold air that smells faintly like wet leaves and exhaust. The campus is awake but quiet. Maintenance carts in the distance, a lone jogger cutting across the sidewalk, a row of windows glowing with early light. He closes the car door with a soft click, and that's when the patrol car rolls in. Campus police in many places function like a bridge between a college and a city. They wear the uniform, carry the equipment, and they're expected to respond instantly when students feel unsafe. But the rules, the training, and the culture can vary wildly. Officer Jason Pike is new, 24, 6 months on the job. Still young enough that his uniform looks slightly oversized, like he hasn't grown into it yet. He graduated from an academy that emphasized speed, control the scene, secure the subject, ask questions later. His field training on Babati. Campus was brief, a couple of ride-alongs, a few radio drills, a lot of "you'll learn as you go," and lately, the campus has been tense. In the last 3 weeks, there have been car break-ins near faculty parking, smash and grabs, 2 stolen catalytic converters, a report of someone trying door handles in the early hours. Every bulletin ends with the same message: be vigilant. For a new officer, be vigilant can become something darker. It can become see danger everywhere. That morning, Pike's shift starts with a call from campus dispatch. Unit 12, the dispatcher says. Suspicious person report, staff lot behind student union. Caller says male near a sedan, possibly tampering. Suspicious person. possibly tampering. And then the detail that makes Pike's heart rate climb. Caller says subject appears to be trying doors. Pike turns in. No siren, no lights, just speed. He pulls into the lot, spots Malcolm beside the sedan, and his brain does what brains do when they're trained for threat. It chooses the worst explanation first. Malcolm is holding a laptop bag. He's wearing a coat. He's by a car. And in Pike's mind, a simple morning becomes a crime in progress. Pike stops hard. Gravel crunches. The patrol car's engine idles like an animal ready to spring. He gets out fast. He sees Malcolm reach toward the car. What Malcolm is actually doing is pushing the lock button, habitually, the way people do when they walk away, just to be sure. What Pike thinks he sees is a suspect reaching for a weapon or breaking into a vehicle. The decision is made in less than a second. Gun drawn, command voice, distance closed. Hands! Hands where I can see them! Malcolm turns. His body goes still. This is the moment people talk about later, as if it's a freeze frame, because in the freeze frame you can see everything. The empty lot, the early light, the badge on Pike's chest, the muzzle, pointed at a dean who has spent his life building a campus that claims it values inclusion. "Officer," Malcolm says, careful, "I'm faculty. My ID is in my wallet." "Don't move," Pike snaps. "I'm not moving," Malcolm replies. "I can show you." "Get on the ground." And here's the detail that will haunt Malcolm later. Pike's voice isn't cruel. It's scared. Fear with a gun is one of the most dangerous things in the world. Malcolm lowers himself slowly, knees bending, eyes tracking the barrel because he knows one wrong motion can be misread. His hands stay up until his shoulders ache. "Are you serious?" he says, breath visible in the cold. "Face down, now," Pike repeats. Malcolm goes down. The wet asphalt soaks through his coat. His cheek presses into grit, and the laptop bag, his work, his notes, his day, lies abandoned beside him like evidence. Across the lot, the jogger stops. A maintenance worker freezes with a broom in hand. Someone lifts a phone. Pike steps closer, keeping the gun trained, then reaches for handcuffs. "Hands behind your back!" Malcolm's voice tightens. "Officer, you're pointing a gun at me on my own campus. I'm Dr. Rivers. I'm the dean. You can call—" "Stop talking," Pike snaps. That line, "stop talking," will matter later, because it's the line between verification and domination. Pike cuffs Malcolm. Metal clicks. A sound so ordinary it would be forgettable if it weren't attached to humiliation. Then finally, Pike does what should have happened first. "Who are you?" he demands. Malcolm closes his eyes for a beat. "Dr. Malcolm Rivers," he says. "Dean of Student Success. My faculty ID is in my wallet. It says it right on the front." Pike hesitates. "Where's your wallet?" "Back right pocket," Malcolm says. Pike circles behind him, still tense, still treating him like a threat. He reaches into Malcolm's pocket and pulls out a wallet, flips it open. A card with a university seal, a photo, a title. Dean. Pike's face changes, like someone who just realized he's been shouting in the wrong room. He says. It's not an apology, it's a sound. The dispatcher crackles again. "Unit 12, update." Pike presses his radio. "Subject is faculty," he says. Malcolm turns his head as much as the cuffs allow. "Now," he says, quiet but sharp. "Can you take these off?" Pike fumbles with the keys, hands shaking. He uncuffs Malcolm fast, like speed can erase what happened. Malcolm sits up slowly. His hands are red. His suit trousers are streaked with water and dirt. His face is tight, not angry in the explosive way, but controlled, as if he's locking something down inside himself. Pike tries to speak. "We got a call," he says. I thought..." Malcolm stands, brushing grit from his coat. "You thought," he repeats. And then he says, the EMP, sentence that becomes the spine of everything that follows. You didn't verify. You escalated. On paper, this incident could have died quietly. A mistake, a misunderstanding, sorry about that. But two things prevent that. First, the lot has cameras. Second, someone's phone captured the moment the gun came out. The video begins with Pike's voice and a flash of movement. It catches Malcolm turning, hands up. It catches the command, it catches the muzzle, and it catches Malcolm, face down on wet asphalt, saying something that turns your stomach because of how calmly it's delivered. I work here. By noon, the clip is moving through group chats. By evening, it's in the hands of local reporters. And by the next morning, it's on a screen in the university president's office. President Elaine Harrow is a career academic, polished and careful, trained to speak in statements. She watches the footage with the campus chief of police, Raymond Holt, a former city lieutenant who took the campus job because he believed universities could model better practices. Holt watches in silence. He knows immediately this is not just an officer made a mistake, because the mistake isn't only drawing the weapon, the mistake is skipping the simplest step. Can I see your ID? Instead, Pike went to the most extreme option first. Holt calls Pike into his office. The conversation is brief, not theatrical, just heavy. Why did you draw? Holt asks. Pike's answer is the one departments hear 1,000 times. I was afraid, he says. Holt's jaw tightens. Afraid of what? He asks. Pike stares at the floor. I don't know, he admits. And that's when Holt understands the real issue. If an officer doesn't know what he's afraid of, he will fill the blank with whatever his instincts provide. And instincts are not neutral. Malcolm tries to work that day. He sits at his desk. He returns emails. He takes calls. He signs a document, but his body is not in the room. His body is still on the asphalt, still hearing the command, still seeing the barrel. He keeps replaying the fraction of a second where he moved his hand toward the car and everything changed. In a hallway, a student says, Dean Rivers, are you okay? Malcolm smiles because that's what people expect from leaders. I'm fine, he says, but he isn't. That night, he wakes up at 2:17 a.m., heart racing, convinced he heard someone shout. His wife, Dana, sits up beside him. What happened? She whispers. Malcolm doesn't answer immediately, because the answer is larger than the incident. He finally says, I don't feel safe at work. The university releases a statement. It's careful. It acknowledges an incident. It promises review. It says, our commitment to safety and inclusion remains strong. Malcolm reads it and feels the gap between language and reality, because statements do not remove a gun from your memory. Students organize a demonstration on the quad. Faculty members sign an open letter. Accountability, the letter demands. Policy change. Independent oversight. In a meeting with the Board of Trustees, Malcolm speaks without notes. He describes the asphalt. He describes the cold. He describes the moment he realized he couldn't prove his innocence fast enough. Then he says something that makes the room go still. I spend my life telling students this campus is their home, he says. But a campus can't be home if safety is conditional. The trustees nod. Some look ashamed, some look defensive, and one asks the question that reveals the fear underneath all of it. Are we being sued? Not are you okay? Not how do we repair? Are we being sued? Malcolm hears that question and understands why cases like this end in money. Because money is often the only language institutions treat as urgent. Here's where the story twists. When Malcolm's attorney requests dispatch records, the university expects them to support Pike's claim. Suspicious person, potential break-in. Instead, The records reveal something else. The caller wasn't an anonymous neighbor. It was a contracted security guard assigned to the student union, an employee of a private company the university hired to supplement safety. The guard's name is not important. What matters is the description he gave. Not, someone is breaking in. Not, I saw a tool. Not, the window is smashed. He said, there's a black male in the staff lot. I don't recognize him. He's near a sedan. Then, after a pause, he keeps reaching toward the car. He didn't mention the faculty parking permit visible on the windshield. He didn't mention the university lanyard around Malcolm's neck. He didn't mention the laptop bag. He mentioned the person. And dispatch, under pressure to respond to suspicious person calls, coded it as possible burglary, meaning the chain began with perception, not a crime. That matters, because it reframes everything. Pike didn't just overreact. He was sent into a situation shaped by bias before he even arrived, and then he added his own. The lawsuit is filed in federal court. It alleges unlawful detention, excessive force, and civil rights violations. It names the officer, it names the department, and it names the university, because campus police operate under the institution's authority. The university's legal team responds with familiar defenses. Officer safety. Reasonable suspicion. Split-second decision. They argue the gun was briefly displayed. They argue Malcolm was released quickly. They argue no one was injured. Then Malcolm's attorney plays the footage, frame by frame, and the defense begins to wobble. Because brief does not mean harmless. Because released quickly does not erase terror. And because the moment a gun is pointed at you, your nervous system doesn't care how fast it ends. Discovery pulls the case open like a drawer. Training records, policies, prior complaints. And there it is, Pike's field training evaluation. 2 notes stand out. 1, tends to escalate quickly under uncertainty. 2, needs improvement in verbal de-escalation and identification steps. In other words, the department knew he had this weakness, and they put him on solo patrol anyway. Then another document appears, an internal email from weeks earlier. Need more bodies on morning shift, it says. We can't keep pairing rookies with FTOs. Staffing is too thin. Translation: we're short, so risk becomes policy. Malcolm's attorney asks Chief Holt in deposition why a new officer was responding alone to suspicious person calls. Holt's answer is honest. Because we were understaffed, he says. Understaffed, a simple word that explains a lot of harm, because when departments are thin, they skip steps, and when they skip steps, people get hurt. Pike is deposed. He sits at a table in a suit that doesn't quite fit, hands folded tightly. He's asked why he drew his weapon. I thought he might have a weapon, he says. What specific fact led you to believe that? The attorney asks. Pike hesitates. He reached toward the car, he says. Did you see a weapon? No. Did he threaten you? No. Did he run? No. Did he refuse to show his hands? No. Did you ask for identification before drawing? Pike looks down. No, he admits, and then comes the question that makes the room feel smaller. Would you have drawn your weapon if Dr. Rivers were white? Pike swallows. I don't know, he says, but the camera already answered that question in the only way that matters, by showing how fast suspicion became lethal force posture. As the case moves forward, the university tries to manage 2 storms at once. The public storm, students, faculty, donors asking what the campus stands for, and the legal storm, risk exposure, precedent, insurance carriers. They place Pike on administrative leave. They announce additional training. They commission an outside review. But Malcolm isn't asking for a workshop. He's asking for accountability. Because a workshop doesn't change the moment a gun comes up. Policy does, culture does, consequences do. And so, Malcolm does what many people in his position never do. He refuses to let it be quietly solved. He refuses a confidential settlement offer early in the process. Not because he wants to punish, because he wants it on the record. He wants the institution to feel the cost of not verifying. He wants the next dean, the next professor, the next student to be safer than he was. The day mediation finally happens, the atmosphere is sterile. A conference room, a pitcher of water, a mediator who speaks in neutral tones. On one side, Malcolm and his attorney. On the other, the university's counsel, a representative from their insurer, and a city attorney because of the way campus policing is intertwined with local authority. They talk in numbers first, then they talk in conditions. Malcolm's attorney doesn't start with money. He starts with reforms, mandatory identification steps for suspicious person calls, restrictions on firearm display absent specific articulable threat, a requirement that the first approach be verbal and at distance whenever possible, audits of dispatch coding, independent review of contracted security reports, more FTO coverage for rookies, and a public acknowledgement that what happened was unacceptable. The university council pushes back. Admitting wrongdoing creates a liability, she says. Malcolm's attorney nods. Then you'll keep paying for it, he says. That's when the mediator suggests a number, 3.1 million. It's not random, it's a calculation of risk, a number chosen to avoid a jury watching that footage and deciding what a gun pointed at an unarmed dean is worth. The university agrees. The settlement is reached. No admission of liability, but the reforms are written in. And one more thing is included, quietly but intentionally, a commitment to publish the new policy changes and the results of the outside review, meaning the university can't just change behind closed doors. They have to show their work. When the settlement becomes public, reaction splits. Some people focus on the number. $3 million, they say, for a mistake? Others focus on the image, a gun, a black dean, a campus that sells itself as progressive. Students don't debate money, they debate meaning. They ask, if it can happen to him, what about us? Chief Holt holds a press conference. He doesn't speak in slogans, he speaks in plain terms. We failed to verify, he says. We escalated too quickly. That cannot happen again. Pike resigns shortly after. He doesn't make a statement. He disappears into the quiet space where people go when public consequences arrive. The contracted security company loses its campus contract. The guard who called it in is reassigned. And Malcolm tries to move forward. But the hardest part of incidents like this is that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying it differently. Months later, Malcolm walks the same lot. It's late afternoon now, sun low, students laughing in clusters as they cross the sidewalk. The asphalt is dry, the air is warmer. He stops near the spot where he was forced down. To anyone else, it's nothing. A painted line, a drain, a patch of darker pavement. To Malcolm, it's a marker. He hears the command in his head. He feels the grit, he sees the barrel, and he realizes something he hadn't said out loud yet. The incident didn't just scare him, it changed his relationship with the place he served. When you dedicate your life to an institution, you expect disagreements, you expect politics. You do not expect to be treated like a threat in its parking lot. At a campus event that evening, a student approaches him. She's nervous, voice small. Dean Rivers, she says, I saw the video. Thank you for not letting them bury it. Malcolm nods. He chooses his words carefully. I didn't do it for attention, he says. I did it because safety shouldn't depend on whether someone recognizes you. The student looks down. It still does, she whispers. Malcolm feels that sentence settle. Because she's right. A settlement can force policy. It can't instantly erase bias, but it can create friction in the system, steps that must be followed, questions that must be asked, pauses that must be taken before a gun comes out. That friction is not perfect justice, but it is something. And sometimes something is what keeps someone alive. So when people ask what $3.1 million bought, the answer isn't comfort. It didn't buy back the morning. It didn't delete the footage. It didn't unfreeze Malcolm's body from the memory of asphalt. What it bought was a public record, a set of reforms, a lesson written in policy language that future officers can't shrug off as just how we do things. Verify before you escalate. Ask before you assume. And never, ever let fear outrun facts. Because the most dangerous thing that happened in that lot wasn't the suspicious person call. It was the moment a rookie officer decided certainty was optional. The gun came out first, the questions came later. And by the time the truth arrived, by the time the ID card with Dean printed on it was finally seen, the damage was already done. That's the part that should stay with you. Not the number, the order of operations. Because in that order, you can see the difference between safety and harm. And if you've ever wondered how a routine call turns into a headline, it's usually right there. In the second someone chooses escalation over verification. In the second, a person's presence is treated as probable cause. In the second, a campus that claims to be a community reveals who it believes belongs without question. $3.1 million closed the case, but the video opened a door the university couldn't close. A door that leads to a harder conversation, one that begins with a simple question we all pretend is easy, until it isn't. Who gets to be here? Without a gun pointed at them first.
We value your viewership. Should you find this investigative report helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Justice Insight Cam. Keep a watchful eye, stay safe, and join us for the next compelling story.